Welcome. It is February 25th. Yours truly, Adrian Dragan. Gonna have a little bit of Sabbath cup of coffee. Thank you. I'm grateful, thankful that my rent's paid. Grateful, thankful that my electricity bill is paid. Grateful, thankful that electricity bill is paid. Electricity bill and rent being paid. I got food. I'm grateful, thankful that I got food and I can eat on this Sabbath. Thank you, farmers. Thank you, farmers. Thank you, farmers, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, firefighters, public security workers, all involved in the production and the distribution of food across the collective North American civilization. It is Sabbath. The Sabbath, of course, of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom begins Friday at midnight and lasts until about Sunday, 7, 8 p.m. It lasts for more than 44 hours about. So it's Sabbath this Saturday night, hockey night. Gonna take a bath because I'm sore. I've been marching 5 days in a row, 3 times, 3 weeks. I marched a lot this February, 5 times each week, 3 weeks in a row. That's 15 marches. I've marched more than all the generals of NATO combined during this February, and I've marched more than the generals of NATO combined during the COVID. Died during COVID, being rebirthed as Adrian Dragan, androgynous pansexual, founder of the dancing goddess and the Dragon Kingdom. Not perfect, far from it. Got some issues, some vices, like to rock and roll it. Got some brains and some muscle. At some things I admit I am mediocre. At some things I admit I am average. At some things I admit I am so while being average and so and mediocre. Some things I am great and excellent at some other things, such as geopolitical analysis, of course, poetry and dancing combined with poetry. I'm the greatest living dancing millennial rainbow poet who's also a philosopher, a geopolitical analyst, and theorist. And of course, who invites all willingly loving to support my dream manifesting as the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom and implement my Trinity of theories known as CIT, citizen integration theory, DRT, death of fusion theory, the DRT, and the DFT, the democratic fusion theory, that trinity of theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension. And that fourth dimension is LOV, because if it's not coming from some place of LOV, I don't want nothing to do with it. And of course, we have a lot of actions to do in terms of healing and regenerating myself every day, check my own prejudices and biases on a daily basis and my own ignorances as a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist who firmly believes in my trinity of theories. This 25th of February 2023 being at a late hour is with solutions that we got to focus. One of my solutions is working out, training, and exercising. As an independent fitness captain who lost more than 77 pounds, created my own workout training program system paradoxically to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. You heard that right. Got proof of work, hundreds of workout training program videos, which of course I've done during COVID, more than 350 of my own creative workout training program videos, and which will continue in the coming days, weeks, and months to perform, do, and execute. For world peace, as a world peace advocate who's not perfect, far from it, I wouldn't mind owning a strip club, LGBTQ friendly rainbow strip club, Rainbow Dragon strip club. There you go, where men and both men and women would dance, myself included, once on the Sabbath. So we got that out of the way. That I'm not perfect, far from it, rock and rolling, and got some issues and some vices. I wish I could afford a massage therapy session, but hey, my rent's paid, electricity bill is paid, and got food. I'm grateful, thankful for it. That massage therapy, I'm grateful also that I could take a bath. Hot water. Thank you, workers of Hydro Quebec. Go, Hydro Quebec, go. Hydro Quebec gonna bless them so that they go rock and roll, build another 7 dams in the coming 7 years. Dans la belle province, pour mes Québécois et Québécoises, je vous souhaite l'amour et la santé. Aujourd'hui, je vous donne un spécial. I'm just gonna switch it a little bit of French. Of course, je vous envoie de l'amour. Donnez-vous avec consentement un beau câlin comme jamais avant. Je vous envoie de la grotte du dragon arc-en-ciel. On vous aime. Je vous encourage à faire l'exercice physique régulièrement. Ça a été, ça sera ma thérapie de médecine de choix. J'encourage bien sûr l'Hydro-Québec à bâtir cette autre centrale dans les 7 prochaines années. Pro travail révolutionnaire centriste avec mes propres théories que je crois à l'implémentation de ma trinité de théories qui s'appelle la théorie de l'intégration citoyenne, la théorie de la refusion de la dette et la théorie de l'intégration citoyenne, la fusion démocratique pour créer les deux institutions de partenariat public et privé. L'armée du dragon pour la défense seulement du collectif de civilisation nord-américain, puis seulement strictement pour la défense. la sécurité, puis le service. Comment on peut des services. Les services avec consentement, tous les services qui peuvent se rendre, le nettoyage, le cuisinage, le massage, l'exploitation. Pas qu'il y ait d'abus, il faut qu'il y ait un système, bien sûr, pas qu'il demande 3 massages par jour, lui, là. Faut qu'il y en offre aussi des services. Tu donnes, tu reçois, tu donnes, tu reçois, tu donnes, tu reçois, tu donnes. Je suis pas parfait, votre androgyne dragon, vous êtes dans la grotte du dragon, j'aurais les portes ouvertes chez nous, mais c'est trop petit, j'étais trop petit, c'est trop petit, je peux pas avoir les portes ouvertes pour vous chanter, vous donner des câlins quand je vous offre des câlins, des bisous et des chatouilles. Vous pouvez m'appeler soit dragon, soit Adrien Chatouille. Et c'est par l'amour. Je fais appel à tous et toutes, Québécois, Québécoises, pour soutenir votre dragon arc-en-ciel, votre philosophe, artiste indépendant qui danse, qui n'est pas parfait. Je suis loin d'être parfait, puis dans certaines choses, je suis médiocre, dans certaines choses, je suis comme ça, dans certaines choses, je suis pourri, je l'avoue, mais dans d'autres choses, je suis pas mal excellent dans la théorie d'analyse géopolitique, puis bien sûr, à étudier la géopolitique, ainsi que ma trinité de théories, que je fais appel à tous et toutes à soutenir l'implémentation par la quatrième dimension, l'amour, parce que si c'est pas par l'amour, je veux rien savoir vraiment, c'est pas par l'amour, l'amour, ça vient de différentes façons, de différentes manières, l'amour pour mes concitoyens, pour la belle province, pour le français, pour ci, pour ce beau tasse de café, puis ce jambon que j'ai ici. Béni, béni, béni soient les fermiers de la belle province. Béni, thank you farmers, béni les fermiers de la belle province pour ce fromage, pour ce beau plat de viande. C'est du jambon. Du jambon, jambon bon. Et tasse de café, l'Hydro-Québec, grâce à qui, 1944, qui ont bâti les centrales pour que je voie, je fasse juste dans mon œil. Que je fasse, que je prenne mon bain avec l'eau chaude pour remplacer un massage. J'aimerais ça pouvoir me permettre, je suis en crise financière, mais j'aimerais ça pouvoir me permettre un massage thérapeutique. Je peux pas me le permettre, mais je suis content. Je suis béni car je peux prendre un bain chaud. Fait que c'est ça que je vais faire en regardant les Canadiens. Mais avant la cuisine un peu, on va cuisiner un peu. Je vais changer un peu en anglais. Je vous chante quelque chose de bon. Faites l'amour à soir, s'il vous plaît, pour le dragon. So we're gonna a little bit of French. I am of course French, Quebecer, Canadian, North American. Was born in the USA twice in past lives. Dowie, as a matter of fact, south of Hawk Island, Montreal, 718 miles south of Hawk Island, Montreal. 156 years ago, served in the U.S. Army. So all my policies are for Quebec, La Belle Province, Canada, and for the collective North American civilization, aka the North American civilizational complex, of which, of course, I am the proponent of the theories and the aforementioned CIT, Citizen Integration Theory, DRT, Debt Fusion Theory, and the Democratic Fusion Theory. That trinity of theories to be implemented via the fourth dimension, and that fourth dimension is LOV. Because if it's not about love, I don't want to nothing with it. It has to come from love or from some source of that love, and I'm not perfect, far from it. I've struggled, I've suffered, I've been depressed, I've been suicidal. I just want to love, do, and implement my trinity of theories and dance, and work out and offer kisses. Because kisses, God, I'm laying the foundations of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom first and foremost, with 718 trillions of kisses. 718 trillions of kisses, you heard that correct. 718 trillions of kisses credited from above, starlit heaven, from the queen of heaven who sent one kiss to her sister below, and that kiss converted, transformed into 718 trillions. A trillion is 1,000 billion, a billion is 1,000 million. So kisses God first and foremost. I'm laying the foundations for the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, my dream. First and foremost with those aforementioned trillions of kisses. So if you see this video, your allies, armies, AA, pledge your legions, AAs, allies, and armies, pledge your legions, allies and armies, pledge your legions, and get those kisses first. Some hugs, some tickles, some brains, some muscles, some marching steps, and dancing in steel toe boots with some rock and roll, rap, philosophy, and poetry. Do God. Like I said, I'm not perfect, far from it. I've been to hell and back, been depressed, been suicidal, I'm no more. I'm still not perfect, far from it, not always happy, content, joyous. I still check and do explorations of my inner dimensions and do not play at self-righteous. And I admit for certain things that I have aggression, but of channel and sublimate, which are two key words of my philosophy: to channel and sublimate and channel, sublimate and channel. The dragon Army motto is we channel the aggression with push-ups and hugs and some dancing and some kissing with consent. Kissing with consent, hugging, consent, tickling. Dragon Army don't start tickling, hugging people in the streets now. Dragon Army don't start hugging, kissing people in the streets now. Rock and roll. Dragon Army don't start kissing, hugging, tickling people in the streets now. I ain't giving no such orders. He gotta be with consent. Gotta be with consent, of course. So, calling on all willing living on this 25th of February, calling on an immediate ceasefire worldwide, my brothers and sisters, we gotta channel and sublimate the aggression. Push ups, hugs, working out, training, and exercising. We gotta be aware sexuality, myself being androgynous, pansexual, part of the LGBTQ community. I've been out for many years now. It's not an issue for myself for many years. I've been making videos about being LGBTQ and LGBTQ community issues. Of course, I'm a pro-labor, universal, revolutionary centrist, but of course, I believe in my Trinity of theories. But of course, many are in the closet now. I'm gonna watch some hockey. Habs versus Ottawa, my favorite team, calling on the NHL and all the players and the owners of Habs go, please donate for food security, my brothers. Brothers, because Petrarca Sports, brothers, please give. Food security important now more than ever. Y'all got millions, got 7 houses, 7 cars, don't need another. Please. Dragon call, independent athlete, and calling also for the mass financing of my workout training program system of citizens to be encouraged to work out, to train, exercise, which working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will be my therapy, medicine, and therapy of choice for yours truly, as I believe it is for many. Working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy for myself, and I can believe it is for others. So implement my Trinity theories first and foremost, the DRT with LOV, debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory, simplified, is taking all debt, public and private, my debt, to the RBC, Royal Bank of Canada, is $10,000 due to the 7 unprecedented hikes, increases. I'm paying the most interest I've ever paid, so I'm already financially struggling, but I'm grateful my rent's paid, electricity bill is paid, and got food. I'm gonna put some slow cooking for the Sabbath for late tonight and tomorrow morning to have it, because tomorrow is still the Sabbath. So DRT, taking all private and public debt of Canadian citizens, US citizens, Mexico citizens, first and foremost across North American collective civilization, aka the North American civilizational complex, all the private and the public debt of Canada, municipalities, nation states, United States citizens, and the nation state, the country. Public and private debt, all the public and the private debt, refusing, or whatever the number is, since the United States dollar is still the international finance currency of choice, the global trade currency of choice, and the worldwide commerce currency of choice. They create the UE, so all the debt, public and private, whatever the number is going to be in the trillions, and create the UE, what I call the Universal Exchange Unit. The UE in French is the same UE, Unité d'échange universelle, Universal Exchange Unit, preferably by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and that being unique biometric identifiers. That's why I'm calling on my astrological brother Bill Gates with the Scorpio stars marching in above me now. Gonna come by 3 a.m. It's gonna be above me, Scorpio. So all public and private, they're refusing it, creating the universal exchange unit, preferably by biometrics, the hand, the voice, and that. And now I'm gonna start cooking because I blah enough. Just gotta wash the hands, tie the hair, wash the hands, watch some news. And I'm gonna wash the hands because touch my hair. Which soap? Which soap? This is gonna be need to be rinsed, rinsed, rinsed. Rinse it just in case it got some dust, you know? And this as well. So I'm gonna put this pottage base first. It's frozen pottage base, see? Just gonna rinse it a bit, just some. See, it's a pottage base. So I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna put some water over it. Filter water, thank you to my honest sister for the filter. And now we're gonna turn it on, put it on high so that will melt. So I'm gonna rinse. It's icy. We're gonna add beats, beats, beats. Gotta use all of these, so we'll put them all. Beets, but yellow beets. Interesting taste. Sweet beets. Oh, there are sweet beets. Sweet beets. Sweet beach. And we got some compost. Drain it and put it in the compost bin. Right in next in my fridge here. I got a compost bin. Got a compost. We're gonna do some more compost. And another compost. Now I'm gonna add some more. Add some more water. Add all of this water. Thank you, anonymous sister, for the filters. If I make a million, gonna give her half. Make a billion, gonna give her half. Trillion, gonna give her half. Oops. This needs to be washed now. Some soap. Dry here. And we're gonna add some more water to filter. And we're gonna add some more. So I'm gonna add some this sweet potato ginger, sweet potato ginger, sweet potato. Mix it a bit. Just gonna rinse. And this is another soup base. Thank you for the donation, by the way. But this food security, thank you for the food security donation, by the way. Thank you for this food security donation, by the way. Chickpeas. Chickpeas and carrots. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna rinse a bit here because it splashed a little bit of the. When I poured it, splashed. So always clean, clean, clean after, right? But still, I'm not finished yet here. Clean some more after. And then dry. Don't leave it wet. Don't leave it wet. Don't leave it wet. Don't leave it wet. And I'm gonna bring some bread. The bread is gonna be added. So this bread is gonna be added there after it cooks for a while. When I come out of my bath, I'm probably gonna put this piece of bread, put it in pieces. I'm gonna put it so it's gonna go inside and it's gonna go soft. I'm gonna put it here, and now I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna leave it cook on high. So, cook on high, slow cooking, and this is gonna wash. Need to be washed here. Now I'm gonna make the dessert. Dessert, I'm gonna make it in this. First, I'm gonna prepare this sandwich. And I'll put a little bit of sauce. My hands was a bit greasy with soap. Brothers, love you. Channel the aggression. Push-ups, workout, train, exercise, take baths. Workout, train, exercise, take baths. Love you. Take baths, exercise. And now we're gonna make the dessert. I'm gonna use some tofu. Tasteless tofu but lots of protein, so we're gonna use it to make the dessert. Cool product. Cannot afford it, but and a banana, no waste. I know it's black, 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 but still good. Mm. Time to make that dessert now. Good for you. Workout, train, exercise. It's good for you. See, so this is gonna be the dessert. I'm gonna put some hot water in it just to mix it up a bit. And I'm also gonna put this. So it's basically sweet powder. I'm gonna wash my hands again with some soap. So we're gonna put some more news and I'm gonna get going because I think the hockey night in Canada is gonna be late. .156 Sunbright, Tennessee. 156 Sunbright, Tennessee. 156. Let's see what this is about. Put some more coffee. Hold on. Actually, we should switch it for tea, but first, going to put some hot water for this dessert on a budget. Right here, that is cooking. This, put it there. The bread, gonna add it in later, slowly, and this. It's about enough water, I guess, just to give it some texture and to mix it. And this, well, I'm gonna have some more coffee. Had enough coffee for the day, I guess. Empty this, is gonna go compost. Should I compost the coffee? Compost the coffee. Actually, and that's cooking. Now we're gonna put this here. I'm gonna need to wash that. I'm just gonna clean a bit here. Clean the whole area. See what this is about. With some soap. There's soap and water. And of course, dry the area after cleaning it. We dry the area after cleaning it. I like that address. 156 Sunbright. 156 Holy to my God is number 156 Sunbright. Gonna write that about the video. Comments are turned off, perhaps best. And the water, see, we're gonna pour it here on the dessert. Now we're gonna mix it. So I'm gonna mix the tofu, the water, the bread, and the powder. See? That's gonna stay there. Now I'm gonna put something here. I need to wash these and then with some soap. And extend it like this long. Wash with soap, 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 soap. Soap, 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 soap. Soap, soap, soap. washed everything. This we're just gonna, oh, I need to wash the knife. This I'm just gonna let the water really melt in it, and it's gonna stay there until I take my bath, and then the banana and my dessert on a budget. Soap, 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 soap. Just gonna make sure there's no soap on my sandwich because it was closed, so stocks don't ingest them. No, it doesn't seem like there's any. This here. And we're gonna wash a little bit here, close by. And dry, dry, dry. And now time to go wash and put the water in the tub. All right. And pause, and we're gonna see each other in the bathtub. been about timeline, my timeline, minutes, hours.
Our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our band glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
A big Western Conference matchup tonight with both teams battling for playoff positioning. Only 3 points separate Calgary and Colorado as the Flames look to inch closer to a wild card spot, chasing the defending Stanley Cup champ Avalanche in Denver on Hockey Night in Canada. Goaltending has been the chatter in Calgary, and after being the backup in 2 straight, Jacob Markstrom is back between the pipes tonight for Calgary. This will be Markstrom's 39th start of the season. And at the other end, Alexander Georgiev is making his 41st start of the season for Colorado. He also played last night in Winnipeg. It's the 3rd time this season he's starting both games in a back-to-back situation. And, of course, it will be a special night for Nazem Kadri. First game back in Colorado since winning the Stanley Cup last season, and he spent some time looking high up here at Ball Arena at the Stanley Cup banner during the morning skate earlier today. It's also game number 799 in Nazem Kadri's NHL career. We are underway. It is Saturday night. That means it's Hockey Night in Canada. Scott O, Greg Millen, Conrad Singh with you tonight for the 3rd and final game between the Flames and Avalanche this season. Coming real close to start off. Here are the Calgary Flames with a chance right off the bat. Here's Kadri with it now. From the blue line, passes to an open corner. Rieger was there. Flames making a change while still in the offensive zone. Rasmus Anderson getting to that puck. Devon Taves trying to take it away. Flames still in the Avalanche zone as Elias Lindholm sends it all the way around to the point. Pass to the middle off the stick of Dubé. Quickly picked up by Nathan McKinnon, who was accelerating through, and now he dumps it in as Colorado's making a change. Both teams have split the previous two games earlier this season. Calgary a 5-3 victory to start off, and then a 4-1 victory for Colorado after that. Always entertaining when these two teams get together. Here's Coleman. Feeds down low. Mangiapane was there. Michael Backlund, who's been on a tear of late. Backlund forced out of the zone and almost stolen by Mikko Rantanen. Speaking about being on a tear, he's been hot as well. Puck dumped in. Markstrom leaves it there for Nikita Zadorov. The big man on the move. The pass over to another big man. Lucic off his stick. Lewis is there, as is Walker Duehr. Walker Duehr contributing offensively as well this week. Duehr tried to lift the stick of Newhook. And now an opportunity here for Andreas Englund. Adrian tips the puck out. Logan O'Connor has it. The Calgary native who celebrated with the Stanley Cup in Calgary in August of last year.
A real good start for Calgary here, taking advantage of Colorado Avalanche traveling last night after the game.
Here comes Mazataki, trying to go backhand forehand. No shot there. Huberdeau to Rasmus Anderson off his stick. Not near the doorstep. And Melchior tried to put it home, but it was blocked. Huberdeau, the thought. Rasmus Anderson, and that shot goes sky high.
Well, Peltier, the kid, gets the first chance of the game. He almost gets another one there as he looks up into the sky. And here's the first one. Worked up first chip for the Calgary Flames. Peltier just gets turned back there. And here's what you have to do against McKinnon. Take away his time and space right away in the neutral zone. Dubé with a good job doing that. And Patton at the other end leads the rush. Sneaks in from behind the net, which he does so well. And then goes to the net. Something that he has to do to be effective. And almost gets rewarded for it there.
Lindholm line out against the McKinnon line currently. Colorado winning the draw there out of their own end. They no longer have control. It is Dylan Dubé forwarding the puck to Foley. Missed it. Lindholm after it. Tyler Toffoli couldn't get to it. It's Taves who takes off with it. Nathan McKinnon back to Taves. Avalanche entered the zone with Gilbert now for Calgary, unable to get the puck out. Nathan McKinnon bounces on it, shoots, and he McKinnon started it off last night in Winnipeg, and he's ready to go early. It's 1-0 for the Avalanche.
He has been taking this team on his back the last couple of weeks in particular. You know, he's been doing it forever, but certainly he's been amazing. And here he is. A giveaway by the Flames in that shot that he loves so much on the short side. He'll just come in and it's that release. I mean, on the stick, bang off the stick, nothing for the Avalanche because of this guy, Nathan McKinnon, who has been spectacular of late.
First shot on net for Colorado, and it is a goal. Unfortunately for Jacob Markstrom, he's been having to deal with that kind of adversity numerous times. Puck stolen by Markstrom. Rantanen off the iron. Stayed out of play.
So if you're the Calgary Flames, I mean, this team, Rodden's the other one that's so good, and he goes right down the slot. And that hits the crossbar, and Markstrom's got to be thinking what he's doing. 19 seconds last night in Winnipeg. A very similar situation, except this time it was a breakaway as the Avalanche exploded in the first period and got 4 on the Jets in a 4-1 lead after 1.
Just unstoppable, that acceleration he has and able to take advantage. As you mentioned, the Flames with a great start to this one, but it was just the one opportunity that McKinnon needed. Flames looking to get on the board. Mangiapane puts one towards the net. He was knocked away by Bowen Byron. Rasmus Anderson skating to the free puck as Colorado making a change. Noah Hanifin. Ahead to Godley. He skates in with it. Godley puts on the brakes. Peltier gets it to Huberdeau. In the corner, taken away by Taves, but Peltier bounces on it, gets it back to Huberdeau. Behind the net, Jonathan Huberdeau controlling, takes a look, pass in front. Peltier feeds the point. It's Tannen. Rister into the corner. Huberdeau is there. Taves all over him. Mueller trying to get it out for Colorado. It's this line for Calgary with some more offensive zone time. Huberdeau falling. Still made the pass. Tannen. D towards the net, but it missed as Colorado is able to clear the zone. Lucic.
So Rantanen, he's got 37. He got a good chance of getting with the first goal in the game. If he struck those two Cowboys, he got a chance. You don't. Good luck against this very good Avalanche team that are getting into Stanley Cup form.
12-2-2 in their past 16 games, and tonight, of course, as Scott Oak mentioned, without Cale Makar, and they've been without their captain Gabriel Landeskog all season. A number of injuries that Colorado has had to deal with. In fact, 316 man games lost. They've used 36 different skaters all season long, which is an NHL high. Currently, Darren Helm, along with Landeskog, Makar, Eric Johnson also out, as is Pavel Francouz, as that's why Alexander Georgiev has been playing so much. Walker Drewer trying to take it away from England. The center with some praise for Drewer, saying we needed the young guys. Walker Drewer's pace and speed makes a difference on the team. Here's Swindle. And the puck to Dubé. He's coming in. The Avalanche showing huge physical play from Toffoli. Leno has some time and space. Feeds the point. Anderson realized the pass was behind him. Got to it. The full force to the outside. The Avalanche have control, and it's Nathan McKinnon with it. He decides to peel back. Now a pass right under the tape of Josh Manson, who tried to feed O'Connor. He had some trouble with it. The Flames back on the attack. Blake Coleman out there all alone, though. Now his line mates join him. Coleman tried to feed Mangiapane. Manson got the way. He came out in front, and now taking off with it is Mueller. He's charging up. Alex Mueller, third line center role. Talking with some of the Avalanche media, saying it's his best season yet. Of course, the Avalanche without the services of Kadri and Burakovsky, two of their top forwards that they are missing this season. Whoa! That was a dangerous play by Taves to bring the puck right in front of his own net. Zadora being watched by Rantanen. Kadri, long range backhand pass. Peltier trying to catch up to it. Taking a whack at it with Rantanen. Was loose momentarily. Now it's Rantanen. Moving up ice. Over to Compher, but the Avalanche coming offside. A fast-paced start to this one, but it is Nathan McKinnon with his 21st of the season. The lone goal in this one so far.
You deserve a vacation. Reward yourself with the Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite Card and Scene Plus. $1 coffee is back at McDonald's. Brewed for a rich, smooth, and delicious taste. Cozy up with your medium McCafe premium roast hot or iced coffee for $1 plus tax. Only for a limited time.
Hey, Ron, nice cup. Thanks. Not that cup, that cup. That's the Good Deeds Cup. Record yourself doing a good deed.
And post it on social.
We're challenging minor hockey teams to do as many good deeds as they can to fill the cup.
Tag at Chevrolet Canada and your team's name. Use the hashtag GoodDeedsCup and hashtag contest.
The team with the most good deeds could win $100,000 for charity. Have a good
I like that.
everybody.
Now that's good. Find out how you can earn the cup at ChevroletGoodDeedsCup.ca.
Every hockey fan loves the one-timers from the blue line. Except goalies, but we do love the effortless toe drags, the crazy kick saves, and this season, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you a reason to love them even more. There's so many ways to get closer to the game, like same-game parlays, puck line, money lines, and more. And you can do it anytime, anywhere in Ontario. Scan the QR code to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and get in on the action with an official sports betting partner of the NHL.
Well, the ovation here is for Nazem Kadri, just welcome back to Ball Arena. He was a big factor in the Avs' march to the Cup last season. Before signing with the Flames, you can never have enough depth at center, and Kadri gave it to them on the second line. Apparently, he said goodbye to the Avs in a group chat, in which he said, "I just signed with the Flames. I don't get any deals on the ice," meaning, look out, and the Avs do when they're facing Kadri. Unreal.
Just fabulous to see the Avalanche faithful here giving Nazem a standing ovation. 3 seasons and 178 games with the Colorado Avalanche. Came back from an injury to play in that Stanley Cup final, and overtime game-winning goal that he remembers most, when reflecting on his journey earlier today, talking to the media. Of course, that goal was shown here at Ball Arena. McKinnon moving his way up. Nichushkin back to McKinnon, back to Nichushkin. Cross-ice speed didn't pan out. The Flames looking to get back on the attack. Sam Girard has it. He feeds Nichushkin, McKinnon, and Nichushkin again exchanging passes. Lehkonen waiting for it. Handled by Hanifin. But collected by the Flames as Dubé slipped and fell. For the Flames, nothing developed off of that. Hanifin has it with Cogliano in front of him. Down a goal as the Avalanche scoring on their first shot on net. 7 times this season the Flames have allowed a goal on the first shot on net. Markstrom, unfortunately for him, has been in net for all of those. Here now is Europe. Puts it up and top shot. And they score. A shot from far out with traffic, and Juha capitalizes. It's 2-0 for the Colorado Avalanche.
Well, again, another rush chance, and this is how they can get you with the speed through the neutral zone. This time the Flames have numbers back. They don't get into the shooting lane, and then all kinds of traffic in front of Markstrom as Juha just peels back, and you can see that play go right in front. Hanifin just skates, he takes the eyes of anyone who's checked the Markstrom here, and Anderson as well gives his own goalie a little nudge, and just like that, 2-0. And this is so tough for Markstrom, who was didn't play on this trip. When Oregon pulled assignments, and now he's down 2-0, trying to battle back and win a job here. Back, which he might be losing if this keeps up.
And Greg, now it's 2 goals on 2 shots, so it just doesn't get any better for Markstrom right now. As the Flames both line out there, Lucic will do it into the net. Lewis gets the pass, and now he gets ahead to Lucic. Get away from Diallo to the point. Zadora sends it over to Dewar. Robert Dewar all the way to Gilbert. That shot right on target, and Georgiev with the answer.
And you can't really blame Markstrom for either goal, really. I mean, McKinnon with a great shot and speed. That one, I don't think he ever saw it at all. It was all kinds of traffic that went out in front of him. And Gilbert, who's been a real nice player for the Calgary Flames since coming up to the American Hockey League again, he's tough, and he's showing that he's been pretty good defensively. 2 sound, stay-at-home guy, Lucic in front of that. And Lucic's trying to do some work on Georgiev, but he finds the puck through traffic and makes the save, and even more importantly, make sure there wasn't a rebound sitting there for Lucic.
Colorado winning the face-off. Rodriguez finds JT Compher. Compher crossing the blue line, finds his man and Rantanen. Whiffed on that opportunity. The Flames have control now. Peltier to Zadorov. He leads the charge. Lost the puck. Rodriguez to Rantanen. A clear path into the zone. He comes in gradually. Back to Compher. Back to Rantanen. To the point. Taves. A shot on net. Markstrom got a piece. Compher. Rantanen. Markstrom was there. Another shot on net. Markstrom again holding his ground. The Flames under siege. Quicker way up top. Crystal blocked. Taves couldn't get to that bucket. Finally, the Flames get it out. And Godfrey in frustration headed to the bench. Peltier hanging on to that puck, trying to settle things down here. Lindholm is in. A shot just missed on the far side. Tannen skating to the puck. Lehkonen coming in on the forecheck. Tannen unable to get the puck out. Nichushkin takes it. His pass intercepted by Toffoli. Tyler Toffoli. Ends a two-way written into the boards by Josh Manson. Richard Lehkonen. What a story he's been since joining the Avalanche. Also, such an important part of their playoff run. Tannen around the puck. It's Lindholm who has it now. Lindholm from the red line. Goes to dump it in. Byram was waiting for it. Almost stolen by Mangiapane. Owen Byram holding that puck against the wall. Manson in to help take it away. Mangiapane circling with the puck in the corner. Had it knocked off his stick. Zadorov sends it in deep. Pagliano gets to it. Passes ahead. O'Connor and the Avalanche get the puck out. The chance for Backlund now. As he dumps it in. Flames players headed for a wholesale change there. Newman, inward speed, a shot. Able to take care of that one. Well, this time it's Alex Newell that just the Avalanche's second shot on net, his 13th of the season, puts Colorado up by 2.
You deserve a vacation. Reward yourself with the Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite Card and Scene Plus.
Some would say that summer is the best season to get outside, play, have fun. We say, why should summer have all the fun? It's the Jeep 4x4 winter event, where the best way to get into winter is to get into Jeep. Right now, finance the Jeep Grand Cherokee for as low as 0% for up to 60 months.
Tim's is upping the stakes on lunch and dinner with new Chipotle steak loaded bowls and wraps. Tender, slow-cooked, seasoned steak topped with crispy onions and creamy Chipotle sauce.
It's delicious.
New Chipotle steak loaded bowls and wraps. Try one today.
DraftKings Sportsbook is your home for betting same-game parlays this season. Take multiple bets from a single game and combine them into one parlay. It could be any combo of bets, the money line, the over-under, player props, and more. If it hits, you score an even bigger payout. Scan the QR code to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Check out same-game parlays and get in on the action with an official sports betting partner of the NHL.
Howard and the Avalanche getting all the changes off the rush. Goes off Calgary, but they fix deep pressure. And there's the back of here at the last chance by Isola. Aguero across the net, takes off the offensive rebound. And look out, with all that speed, the Avalanche come down into the zone. They look at the channel, and then hit the zone because it's a real good save. That one. And this is a back-to-back situation with travel for Colorado. 5-1 victory in Winnipeg last night. Daryl Sutter looks on. Face-off victory for the Flames. Rasmus Anderson getting the puck all the way ahead to Backlund. And off to the bench. Taves has it. Over to Comfort. Dropped it for Rantanen. Comfort at the blue line. Spinning out now. Walker Jr. the puck. A little too far, he does catch up to it. Lucic looking for some space there, not available as McKinnon takes off. McKinnon and Rantanen out there together. Comfort along with them. Reyes Angler controls and feeds ahead. Tannen quickly up to Peltier. Jacob Peltier moving in. Puts on the brakes. Pass. Bouncing puck. It lands right near him. Kept in at the line by Tana. Jonathan Huberdeau. Puck dropped by him. Calgary tried to get it back for him. Weegar is moved up. Finds his man. Huberdeau. His pass in front. Eventually came over to the direction of Calgary, but taken away by Newhook. He drops it off for Logan O'Connor. Shot blocked. Puck stolen. It's Dylan Dubin coming back on the counterattack. Dubin takes a look to see who's with him. Now Lindholm joins. Lindholm grabs a hold of that puck. Nobody there at the point. McKinnon. And now O'Connor, who flips it in as the Avalanche making changes. Under 7 minutes to go here in the first period. Avalanche up by 2. Lindholm. Partial 2-on-1. But Toffoli, the pass never came to him. Good defensive effort there by the Avalanche, and this puck is flipped over the boards into the Avalanche bench.
Ontario. DraftKings Sportsbook has so many ways to get in on the action, like same-game parlays, money lines, money lines, and more. Download the app and get in on the action.
Well, the Avalanche played last night in Winnipeg, but because they had an early lead in the game, they certainly were able to really manage their shifts. And there's a stick, but that's a follow-through. And they got the penalty because of it, and the crowd reacted like they wanted a penalty, but it was a follow-through, the refs had a little chat, and that is the correct call. And because they got the lead, and they cruised through that game last night, they could really manage their defense pairings and keep the ice time down throughout the group, and that might have helped them here in this back-to-back. Meanwhile, the altitude is never easy for the visiting team in this building, even though Calgary's been here an extra day. They didn't practice yesterday. It was a day off mandatory for players.
Here comes McKinnon again. Barreling down. Pass stopped by Markstrom, who after allowing 2 goals on 2 shots seems to have settled in a bit.
Oh, you can't have this happen right from your own draw. And McKinnon, though, I mean, he's just competing people one-on-one. He loves that move. Just going to the outside, releasing in a hurry, using the defenseman as a screen, and Markstrom picked this up late, and he barely got his pad on it. Enough to make the save.
You mentioned the early lead for Winnipeg. They had 4 goals in the first period against the Jets last night. And those 4 goals were on 5 shots. Similar to how they've started this one out. Don't miss Canada's biggest night in music, the Juno Awards, hosted by none other than Simu Liu. Watch it live on Monday, March 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern on CBC and CBC Gem. Face off in the Flames zone. Calgary on a 3-game road trip, which is finishing tonight. 6-3 victory over Arizona in a game they were down early. And then a 4-3 overtime loss against Vegas in a game where they were up by 2 in the 3rd period. Daniel Sutter, though, saying he was happy with the team's effort against Vegas. Here's Ransom trying to make sure Weegar didn't get his stick on that puck. Weegar has it now to Tannen quickly out of the zone and back on the attack. He carries in. Trying to go cross ice. The Avalanche got their sticks in the way, and now it's Rantanen coming back the other way. Flips it to some open ice. Zadorov there. Zadorov. Room to move up, and he does just that. Zadorov. Leading the charge, coming in. A pass in front. Huberdeau couldn't get a shot away, and that puck is frozen by Alexander Georgiev. From Denver, Colorado, you're watching Hockey Night in Canada.
Introducing Subway's new signature rice bowls.
Hold up, this isn't a sub.
That's right, Scotty. We've refreshed our menu with 4 delicious bowls.
This is news.
And the world deserves to know.
Subway. Eat fresh, refresh.
Nothing. With Expedia, you can save when you book your flight, hotel, and car as one customized package, so you can have a bit more money to do even less.
Tylenol rapid-release gel caps are scientifically designed to quickly release medicine and effectively relieve pain. Tylenol. Rapid release, rapid relief.
It's just not right. Nah, I need to try something new.
You gonna quit rap for a triangle?
I gotta do me, miss.
America has a case of triangle fever.
Jack Harlow did it again.
Ding, ding, ding.
Let's try another angle.
I'm going to Mandalore.
There's nothing left. Go home.
The Mandalorian Season 3 streaming March 1st.
Rapid Recap is brought to you by Tylenol Rapid Release Gel Caps. Abs Captain Gabriel Landeskog begins meeting to speak. Let's recap his knee surgeries. He had one last March and another in October. Just feeling things out this week, it would not be surprised to see him held out until the playoffs, which would give the Abs cap room with which to maneuver at the deadline. Greg.
And a penalty in front of that Hugo took the chance. And there's McDermott with the hook on the glove. And this Flames power play has been much, much better on this trip. Something that's been a sore spot for them throughout this season. A couple of goals.
As you mentioned, Calgary 4 for 9 on the power play over the last 2 games. Here's Rasmus Anderson. It's knocked down. Now he's forced to retreat. Tyler Toffoli fires it in. Hanson waiting for it. He left it for Nichushkin, and what he thought was going to be an easy clear was picked up by Anderson, but now the Avalanche do send it all the way down the ice. Avalanche penalty kill, 8 for 9 in their last 3 games. Lindholm over to Godley, is able to get through, tried to get past Sam Girard, and he got stopped in Girard's skates. Puck stolen by Toffoli. Toffoli drops it off. Huberto. Anderson up top. Toffoli, one-timer. Godley now has it. Pass to the middle, one-timer again. Lindholm didn't hit the target. Huberto to Godley. Back to Huberto. To Godley. He takes a look pass to the middle, gets it back. Godley. One-timer again for Lindholm. Again, it didn't hit the net. Rasmus Anderson takes a look. Toffoli. To Huberto, and that puck just slipped by him, and it's all the way down.
Flames have had success because they've had 2 power play units going. With Pelche now on the second unit, something that started adjusting throughout this trip, which worked well for them. Here comes the second unit on that.
Giovanni and Mosabelli on the second unit, and this puck is over the glass. I believe it'll be Josh Manson heading to the box of punishment for that.
So 22 seconds for a 5-on-3 here. Clearly, this is an easy one for the official. Puck rolls on Manson. Pelche going for it. Pelche. There it goes.
Speaking of Pelche, he has scored in 2 straight. Jared Bednar overacting his troops.
The key here, the Flames is win the draw. You got 22 seconds to play with before it becomes a 5-on-4. You'll have 1 or 2 good chances, and you won't get them unless you win the draw. And Lindholm's been good in that area.
Calgary's most trusted face-off man, Elias Lindholm, 57% in the face-off circle this season. Pointless first period, which could be a turning point for the Flames if they're able to get on the board. Here's Godley, pass off of Taves sticks. Huberto, back to Godley. Pass to the middle, Huberto in tight. Toffoli takes it. Rasmus Anderson now. Back to Toffoli. Tyler Toffoli shooting. And back on the ice. Here's McDermott. Pass it by Huberto. Laying down the block. There's Comfort. Adrian trying to get it out. Lindholm gets to it, but we have whistles on the play. A tripping call coming up.
It's a hockey night, so let's get it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and tap in with the live bet.
Lindholm with the trip. And, yep, he got the skates. He didn't like it much, but certainly penalty, so we're going to have a little 4-on-4 for $1.25. And then the Avalanche will go on the power play.
So the 5-on-3 didn't amount to anything in favor of the Flames, and instead we have some 4-on-4 action here. In the late stages of the first frame, Janet to Backlund. Backlund moving up the ice, drops it off. Mangiapane shoots. And Georgiev hangs on.
And again, Georgiev to play this game, one of the reasons on a back-to-back is he wasn't overworked last night, even though he, along with the rest of the team, traveled. Here's the first real good look. And Mangiapane gets into a shot to put traffic in front. And it's back. It's a little late for the party trying to screen the goal.
26 saves in the 5-1 victory for Alexander Georgiev. Bowen Byram scored his 5th of the season Friday night against Winnipeg. He's really come into his own, especially with the absence of Cale Makar. Here's a chance for Mangiapane. And Georgiev is there. As Uyghur hangs onto that puck, trying to get away from the check of McKinnon. Downloads Mangiapane. Andrew Mangiapane's pass all the way back to Anderson. Rasmus Anderson gradually moves up. Tackle heading off to make a change, and now Uyghur accepts the pass. He tried to find Lewis. Anderson couldn't play the puck forward. Rantanen tried to take advantage. Uyghur was there to help out his defensive partner. Rasmus Anderson starting it off again here. And now Trevor Lewis comes into the zone. Getting past Brad Hunt. Lewis slots in the corner. Trying to take it around. Josh Manson right onto the ice. He heads straight to the bench. Lehkonen leaves it for Newhook, who gives it back. Lehkonen reverses, Taves has it, and now Colorado with a brief power play of 20 seconds. Byram drops it back to McKinnon. Here he comes powering through. Pass to the left, Mulford cross ice. Rantanen to the Nichushkin, and Tanev blocked that. Tanev getting in between the passes here as well, and a hard clear from Zadorov.
The power play, we're not going to have it now for the Avs, but they like the bumper position, and then they got Rantanen on one side, McKinnon on the other for the one-timers. We'll watch for that for the Avalanche next power play.
Time winding down here in the first period. Just over 60 seconds left now as Dennis Gilbert skating to that puck, and this will be icing against Colorado. Coming of age is a bumpy road for young Mark Critch. The awkward 80s continue on season 2 of Son of a Critch, Tuesdays on CBC, stream free on CBC Gem.
Mangiapane tries to take one towards the net. A pretty good defensive play there. And one thing the Avs don't get a lot of credit for, their defense is pretty good. You know, they're big enough, they're on the body, and yet they're still very mobile as well. Great six.
Extra long-range pass. Far to the net. He flips it in right on target. Georgiev, who's a bouncing puck, but he handled it, and he hangs on.
Going to weather the storm a little more here in the second half of this period. They've only got themselves in trouble off rush chances because they've been giving the puck away a little bit. Here's a look at the bouncer. They can be tricky. If they can get out of this, you know, down 2 and regroup a little more, they may be okay here. But certainly the Avalanche and their speed through the neutral zone has been really troublesome here for the Flames in this first period.
Colorado also continuing a trend of scoring first, which they've been doing a lot of recently. They scored first in 15 of their past 17 games, if you include tonight. Dubé looking for some room. He was able to out the puck ahead. Tanev keeps it alive for Calgary. Dubé pass in front to Foley's shot. He wasn't able to capitalize, and Logan O'Connor takes the hit. Wasn't able to get the puck out to Foley. Looking for the tip from Dubé. Again, not on net though. Lindholm. His pass intercepted by Manson. First time that Ryan Manson is playing in both games of a back-to-back situation as he missed 31 games with a lower body injury, though easing him back into the lineup. So a 2-0 lead for Colorado against Calgary. 2 goals on 2 shots to start this one off. And coming up in the first intermission, it's the Hockey Night in Canada panel. We're on the plane with MTX's Jennifer Rivaro and Elliot Friedman.
This period brought to you by Scotiabank's The Hockey Jersey, a new hockey story to inspire the next generation.
Did somebody say, yeah, a little sushi while I watch a movie? Papaya salad while I sing about it. And I want also eat, yeah, when I'm ordering delivery. When you're running through, there's only one place to go. Cause I get what I want when I want it. Margarita with extra cheese on it. Ding dong, ring it, somebody say, yeah.
It calls you to a place with no boundaries.
Hockey Night in Canada. And go listen to some news while they.
On this Saturday night, a global news exclusive with Ukraine's top negotiator. His thoughts on China's peace plan.
All wars eventually end with on the negotiation table.
And his timeline for victory 1 year into the war. Did Ottawa ignore warnings about an MP allegedly backed by Beijing? The former head of Canada's spy agency reacts to a global news investigation.
It snowed in Hollywood and I made a snowball.
And the extraordinary storm paralyzing parts of the U.S. Tonight on PBS. And our chief meteorologist, Natasha.
It's been 1 year.
What happens when we turn our country into one giant obstacle course? You got this! Canada's ultimate challenge on CBC.
Cold today.
Free on CBC Channel.
Wow, minus 17. With the wind factor probably minus 17. Cold in Montreal, cold in Montreal, cold in Montreal, cold. Montreal, Hot Garden.
Mais en quantité limitée. Fait que Digidine chez Club Piscine.
On this Saturday night, a global news exclusive with Ukraine's top negotiator. His thoughts on China's peace plan.
All wars eventually end with on the negotiation table.
And his timeline for victory 1 year into the war. Did Ottawa ignore warnings about an MP allegedly backed by Beijing? The former head of Canada's spy agency reacts to a global news investigation.
It snowed in Hollywood and I made a snowball.
And the extraordinary storm paralyzing parts of the U.S.
Global National with Farah Nasser.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. It has now been a year since Russia invaded Ukraine, and in that time, life has changed indefinitely there. Once beautiful, bustling towns and cities, now battered and broken by Russian shelling. For millions of people, everyday life has turned horrifying and miserable.
People have been returning to what's left of their favorite places, like schools, clinging to any piece of normalcy. And then there are historic landmarks, like this theater in Mariupol, damaged after Russian airstrikes hit. But it's really here, at mass graves like this, where we see the real cost of the war. The United Nations says there have been more than 21,000 civilian casualties in Ukraine since the war started. That includes more than 8,000 who have been killed and more than 13,000 who have been injured. The Russian invasion started as a full-scale attack throughout different areas of its western neighbor. Ukraine has reclaimed much of the captured land, but Russia still controls parts in the south and the east, much of it territory it illegally annexed last year. But the war continues, with no clear signs of an ending. Joining us now in a Canadian television exclusive interview is Ukraine's chief negotiator in this war and leader of Volodymyr Zelensky's Servant of the People Party, David Arahamia. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Arahamia. You're a close advisor to the president. You've been with him since day one. How have you changed this past year, and how has he changed?
That's a good question. Thank you. I think I did not change. At least I'm not seeing myself changed a lot. As for Zelensky, I think he became less patient in terms of, like before, every time that something bad happened, so he tried to analyze and, ask everybody, interrogate what happened and how we could avoid it in the future. Now he has no more time for this. So if the person fails, he just puts him out of the team immediately. Second thing, I think emotionally, he also became kind of a harder person now because he saw so many bad things happened around him, like it was the Ukrainian people, so he kind of became tougher.
Now, China has come up with a proposed peace plan on the anniversary. Do you think it could lead anywhere?
Well, the good sign is China started to feel that they also need to participate in some kind of, mitigation of the war. Because before, if you took a look for a year, they tried to pretend that nothing happened. So it's a good sign that in their ideas or concepts, they're saying that we have to obey United Nations statute, which has to respect the legal borders of the country. So it plays for us. The bad sign, I think, is that there was no single word about a call to Russian troops to go back behind our borders. So it's acceptable for us. But we should consider China, I think, because it's so big and powerful. It remains kind of a neutral. So so far we have no evidence that they are supporting Russia with weapons or special military technologies. We just need to talk to them and see if their intentions are really serious or those intentions are just politics.
What gives you hope right now?
My hope that our counteroffensive operation in the summer, I think it will come the summer, maybe early autumn, will be successful and will give a very, very clear signal to Russians so to sit down and sign the deal on our terms. This is my hope.
Do you think you'll be sitting down at the negotiating table again?
Well, like diplomats, I'm not a professional diplomat, but I got so many advisors on this, I talked to so many people around the world, and everybody is saying that all wars eventually end with on the negotiation table. So whatever, war it is, whatever scale it is, it's always ends up in the same place, so that's why it's inevitable.
David Arahamia, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Likewise. Thank you very much.
1 year into the war, and Canada has shown its support for Ukraine is as strong, if not stronger, than it was 365 days ago. But while the federal government has approved more than 500,000 applications through a specialized program for Ukrainians, less than a third have actually arrived here in the last 13 months. While thousands of Ukrainians wait to make their way into our country, Canada is showing Ukraine we're ready with open arms. Mike Drolet reports.
On a bitterly cold day in Winnipeg, marching through the streets is the last thing anybody wanted to do. But how How could this mix of Ukrainians and their supporters not gather on the one-year anniversary of the Russian invasion?
What can we do? We just support each other. We pray, we gather, we celebrate our freedom.
Vigils were held in 41 Canadian cities Friday night. They were large and mostly hopeful.
I wish that this war end in the nearest future.
In Toronto, an anti-Trudeau heckler trying to ruin the moment instead delivered an opportunity for the Prime Minister to rally the crowd.
Hey, sir, I think Ukrainians can tell you a little bit about freedom and liberty, so why don't you settle down? This is a night for them, not for you.
The Ukrainian supporters cheered, but it was bittersweet. So many lives have either been lost or upended.
We're all living in this trauma.
Irina Kuznetsova, who has lived in Vancouver for 9 years, says they have survivor's guilt. Her family hailed from Mariupol, a city that is now unrecognizable. Her parents weren't able to get out before the bombs fell. Her mother, who had terminal cancer, dug her own husband's grave. Her mother eventually arrived in Vancouver, only to die a few months later. Now Irina's goal is to make sure the world doesn't turn its back.
It's been surreal since then because you're kind of watching a school bully go and, take stuff and teachers watching and doing nothing.
But fortunately, she says, Canada so far is living up to its commitments of providing a safe haven to Ukrainians fleeing what has been a year-long nightmare. Mike Trolay, Global News, Toronto.
And in Ukraine, hospitals continue to be unsafe and have been under a constant barrage of rocket fire since the war began. A new report out this week shows that 1 year later, the Ukrainian healthcare system is on the brink. Catherine Ward reports on the repeated calls for Russia to be held accountable.
Hospitals destroyed, workers under stress, and a system fighting against the
Connect with us to access winter relief. hydro1.com/winter.
Of all the things here that'll take your breath away, music is surely one. There's a certain rhythm to this place. Leave no song unsung.
Hey, guess who's going to San Diego for work?
I'm coming with.
Yes, yes.
But it's next week. That's peak season. Do we even have enough porch for you?
With Arby's on Visa, book whenever. Points to fly, baby. Even last minute. Swiss will get 55,000 bonus points. Enough to fly anywhere in North America or the Caribbean.
Back in Colorado and Calgary. There's Cabby.
Thank you so much, Ron McLean. This is the SM Bets Big Board presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. The Avalanche is rolling right now, 5-0-1 in its last 6 games without its captain and superstar D-Man, and that's largely because
Nathan McKinnon is on a heater. 15 points in his last 7 games. Alex Newhook added his 13th. The live line is 6.5 goals. This is a gauntlet for the Calgary Flames. You can Google their next few games. Oh boy, Toronto, Boston, it's going to be tough. You can get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook tonight. Use that QR code to download the app if you want to get in on a live bet. And we remind you to play responsibly. Back to you, Ron.
Much appreciated, Cabby. Hunter Ryan singing. Greg Millen are in the broadcast booth in Denver. Scott Oak reporting tonight. Nathan McKinnon will be his guest on After Hours. Second is next.
The EA Sports NHL 23 World Championship is here with more tournaments and more chances to win than ever before. Register now at NHL.com/NHL23.
Remember the old school cheat codes? Ridiculous moves that no one could pull off in real life. Until now. Now there is that guy with the unfair speed. The guy who scores just about every time at one spot. And the guy who's basically a real life glitch. So were those games really that ridiculous? Or maybe they were just ahead of their time.
You asked, we answered. The dill pickle nuggets from Burger King are back. You couldn't get enough of the tangy dill flavor. The perfect addition to tender, crispy nuggets. Try the dill pickle nuggets for just $3.99. Only at Burger King.
Do you know what contrave is? I do. Do you? Maybe not. But your doctor does.
Get free counseling and save up to 25% on your tablets with the Contrave Support Program.
Wa is control. Strength. Wa goes hard into the corners. It has your back. Year in and year out. Wa is a winner, and Wa is quality you can trust. Nobody does Wa like we do, because at Hyundai, Wa is all we do. We make Wa.
Get ready to take off and fly. The FIS Freestyle Ski and Snowboarding World Championship, February 19th to March 5th on CBC and CBC Gem.
The competition heads for the mighty Yukon,
where the teams face some of the most diverse and unforgiving terrain in the entire country.
And an incredible twist changes everything.
Canada's Ultimate Challenge on CBC. Stream free on CBC Channel.
In Denver, Colorado, the Avs get the jump on the Flames. 2 shots, 2 goals, and it's 2-0 heading to the second period. Here's what the Flames are facing in their need to string together the wins they'll need to make the playoffs. Stanley Cup champion Avalanche tonight. Next up, the best team in the league, the Bruins. Then the Leafs before the trade deadline, followed by the Wild, all at home before going on the road to face Dallas and the Wild again. So this is a string of games against 5 playoff teams. That will say a lot about their playoff chances as General Manager Brad Treliving contemplates what he may or may not do in 6 days at the deadline. And Daryl Sutter's team hasn't won 2 in a row in a month. They're playing from behind tonight. Hunter Ryan singing, Greg Miller with the call of the second period.
Well, and you mentioned that they haven't won 2 straight since January, Scott. And they also haven't lost 2 straight in regulation in more than a month. And that kind of inconsistency is why they're not in it, but they're also not out of it. And the Flames are looking to get back into this one. Down 2. Start off the second period here. The puck trickles towards Georgiev, and he freezes the puck.
This has been the frustration for the Flames and the Flame fans, really, is high expectations for this team. And since January 1, it hasn't been great. One thing about the Flames, though, that I'll give them a lot of credit for, they're always in it. And they work. There's not many games I can tell you that, they just haven't had it at all. Look at a few. But for the most part, they show up and work hard. They just are not getting the results.
To go along with that, 35 of their games have been 1-goal games. 22 of their losses have been of the 1-goal variety too. So
you're right. And Aaron, it's that and all those points and their loss in the bonus points. If they would have even split those, they wouldn't be in this position right now. And that's been a real problem.
Flames 5 of 12
is their record in games that have gone past 60 minutes. They're at 6 points. Do the math. He's backless. Didn't drop it off. A wrist shot into traffic and they score! Montiapano, did they not? My goodness, that game also close. From this vantage point, it sure seemed like it. Here's backward looking for it. Montiapano moving backward. Along with Coleman, trying desperately to get the Flames on the board. Right off the far post, you can imagine. And that's the way it's been going for this Calgary team. And we were talking about it earlier today. They're high up here, but also a bit far back as well. The ball early as this puck is all the way down the ice, and icing call against the Flames.
And Mangiapane can't believe it. He just can't believe it as Flames do everything right. Great traffic in front on the backhand, rolling puck, and off the one post and out. Now, I mean, what are the chances of that happening? Not the inside post, the far post. Mangiapane looking at it going, oh boy.
Well, he had everyone fooled, including me, except for the goalpost. Not much closer than that. Here's O'Connor. Nice passing and a good stop for Marksman. As Logan O'Connor has control again. He feeds the point. Josh Manson. Wrist one towards the net. Gabriela's shot stopped by this blade of Hamilton. Referee's hand is up. And a slashing call coming up.
Calgary penalty number 28. 2 minutes for slashing.
Lindholm again, I believe, going to get the slashing penalty. Yep. After the Avalanche caused some problems again. Here's the play right up. Adrian, he gets his gloves after the puck caromed off the boards in an awkward fashion. And that would have been a good scoring chance and was taken away from the slash.
Second consecutive penalty Lindholm is taken. The tripping call in the first period, so Colorado worth the one on the man advantage. 45-3. It was a 3-1. It was Ranson into Comfort to Fire. Here's a spacey foul. Comfort now a pass in front, but it just trickled wide. Fire to Nichushkin. Nichushkin back to Fire. He takes a look. To the other side, it's Nathan McKinnon. Shifting. Somehow the puck's still on his stick. Fire. Passing in front. Comfort back to McKinnon. McKinnon takes a look to Fire. He moves up and pass to Nichushkin. He shoots and he scores. Power play goal. Another early goal to start off another period. It's 3-0 Colorado.
Well, Byron for me is the next McCarr. I mean, he's been hurt a lot this year, but he does everything well on this power play. He's 4 on the point. Watch how he moves it around. A perfect setup for the Houston. And he rifles it far side. Now, Markstrom's going to chase this. And when he chases it, he loses his net. As you can see, he's well past the post. There's lots of room for the Houston on the far side to rifle it home. And that, but for a second, might have hit somebody in front. We'll have to check that.
Nichushkin missed 28 games cumulatively with a lower body injury and upper body injury. He was injured at 3 different points this season. And now with his 11th of the season, he's on the board.
And it's interesting because you got Nichushkin on one side and Rantanen as well on the power play with the big shot. And I thought for a moment that might have hit Rantanen, but no, it went straight in.
Greg McKinnon picks up the assist, so this is 7 straight multi-point games for Nathan McKinnon, which is, he surpasses his own career high in the multi-point game streak category. And it's also a franchise record since relocation with the Colorado Avalanche. Here's Hanifin moving up, he gains the line. Hanifin driving, sharp angle shot, went high off the stick of Taves. Gilbert pressured, he quickly gets the puck back. Huberto backhands the puck in, here's Thomas. He still has it from the blue line, it has to Gilbert. To the middle, LJ spins, fires. Throws the other side. Cut loose. Gilbert was looking for it. It's Godwin. Stick handling. Isaac Godwin on the move. Backhand shot. And stopped from Georgiev again. Huberto. Signs the door on. Protecting that puck. The Avalanche force it out.
And I should go with my first instinct because now they're giving that goal to Rantanen. So it did hit him a bit on the way in, which makes it a lot tougher save for Markstrom as well. Even though Markstrom lost the net.
And for the Golden, they're taking the assist away from McKinnon. We'll see if that changes. Here he comes. Nathan McKinnon protecting that puck and beating a check. Nathan McKinnon back to Byron. Byron over to McKinnon again. Back inside. Lehkonen was there. The puck took high into the air for a whistle.
Well, things are so close in this game. You know, you're down 2-0 on the road. You have a pretty good start to the period. You got a wide open net, and you hit the post. When you get into a penalty situation, Byron has been so good, sets up sticks Dragan on the way in, and all of a sudden you're down 3-0. It's just the way it's been going for the Calgary Flames of late. And the power play works for Colorado to get them a 3-goal cushion. Byron, I can tell you, this kid is the real deal. He is something special to watch. Very similar to McCarr, the way he plays.
Houston now has 2 assists in this game. 24 points on the season. Here comes Mangiapane. Top right of the net. Coleman is there. Aforementioned Yuchuska. He forwards the puck. It's Archer Lehkonen. He eases the puck on the flame zone. Anderson gets to it first. Hanifin has it now. Head to Walker Dewar. Trying to corral that puck. Lehkonen sends it into the flame zone. He's off for a change. Markstrom to Anderson. Off the boards and out. Walker Dewar was waiting for it. Took a bounce, and all of a sudden the Avalanche are back in. JT Compher takes it up there. Markstrom a fabulous save in tight to deny the Avalanche of their 4th goal. Slipping and falling was Rodriguez. England leads down low. Rantanen. Over to Rodriguez again. Almost blew it high up. Rodriguez finds Compher, who's in. Several players just slipping. Here's Rantanen. Fell on his way to the bench. Compher's backhand pass. Puck points and shoots, and it bounced away. Rowan Hanifin and Lewis digging for that puck. The Flames find it. Anderson high off the glass. Not out. Pass over to Conley. Good for Newhook. He just missed on the shot like he has the puck. One-timer. Markstrom the save. And he got his glove on that one.
A couple of good saves from Markstrom here. And it's survival for him now. I mean, my goodness, 3-0. And he has to come up bigger. This thing's going to get ugly. And boy, does he ever on this particular play here. What a beauty as Markstrom cuts across, makes a wonderful pad save to keep it at 3-0.
Hey, what are we doing for the Chevrolet Good Deeds Cup this year? As much as we can! That's good! What about donating clothes? That's good. Washing cars? Got Mom an ice cream?
Popeye's flounder fish sandwich is the real deal. Made with crispy flounder, sandwich between 2
Can't afford it, I would try it.
Served with crunchy pickles and our signature tartar sauce. Now that's a
Not today, not tomorrow,
Get our
not this
delicious
February though.
flounder fish sandwich today.
We all love the action, the lights, the glitter, the bells and the whistles. But let's face it, this game is all about one thing and one thing only. You versus the dealer. It's on. Play against live dealers now at OLG.ca's live casino. Feel the thrill.
Jared Bedner's team has had to deal with a long injury list. Is there a correlation between playing well in the June and injuries? Abs would say so. 25 games to go, and they've already set the record for man games lost to injury the year after winning the Cup. Previous record held by Pittsburgh after winning the Stanley Cup. These are man games lost by Gabriel Landeskog, Cale Makar, Eric Johnson, Pavel Francouz, Darren Allen, not to forget Nathan McKinnon missed the month of December. Huge challenge to rise above a list like that, and the Avs are doing it.
Jared Bednar likes the challenge that Colorado has in front of them. They're in a wild card position right now, but also very close in range of first in their division. And Jared Bednar also thinks they're in range of first in the Western Conference. So they'll have some goals and motivation playing. As Taves behind his own net trying to find some room to move the puck out. The Flames, they've had offensive zone time in this game, but nothing to show for it so far. Dennis Gilbert pass to the middle. Tyler Jefoe shoots. Traffic in front as Dubé was there. Lindholm takes it near the net. Now along the wall, tried to feed the point. His teammates missed it. Markstrom far out of his net. He leaves it for Zadorov. Nikita Zadorov, former Colorado Avalanche, moving up the ice. 5 seasons in Colorado. Pass in front, trying to jam it home is Bowman, but he couldn't do so. Flames still attacking. Zadorov shot blocked. Gilbert keeps this momentum going for Calgary. Mangiapane takes the pass. He's down low. Backlund is there, as is Blake Coleman. Now Rasmus Anderson from the blue line. Cycles it ahead. Mangiapane. On his knees, back on his skates. Mangiapane cuts to the middle. And the referee's hand is up. We'll see if the Avalanche touch the puck here as the extra attackers on the ice for the Flames. Probably off the bench. Up top to Backlund. 6 on 5 here for the Flames. Hanifin. The Dodger pass down low. Mangiapane. And his pass didn't pan out. Blocked by Comfort. Colorado touches the puck, and the Flames are going to head on to the power play.
Well, they're mad because they thought they had possession as well just before that to keep the play alive. Toffoli has been such a great goal scorer with 24. Gets the puck through there. And the Avalanche really strong in front of their net. They are so good at clearing through the net and fronting pucks and blocking them. It's hard to get pucks through. And here is the penalty here. And a little hook on Mangiapane. He does a nice job cutting to the middle, and Rodriguez is going to be in the box for 2 or less.
Greg, you were talking about how the Flames' power play has been better of late. Michael Backlund talking with the media, saying they've just been moving the puck faster, attacking the net more, and playing more connected. Ever since that change was made, Peltier moves to the second power play unit, as you mentioned. Starting it off here is Rasmus Anderson, working his way up the ice. Checks the rear view mirror. Gets it back to Lindholm. He dumps it in. Georgiev couldn't get his stick on it, but his teammates do, and Pagliano is able to push the puck out. Rasmus Anderson again. Starts it off. This time, he finds Nazem Kadri. Over the red line, pass at the blue line. That was blocked by Josh Manson, or Jerry Fleckman, pardon me. Petruska getting in the way of another Flames pass as now they're unable to even set up. So the second power play unit is going to get a chance here earlier on. Anderson to Backlund. He crosses the blue line. He gets it over to Dubé. Dylan Dubé stops. He dishes to Hanifin over to Mangiapane. Peltier. One-timer from Hanifin, and he flushed it. And it was too high. And the Avalanche point. Noah Hanifin heading up ice. Dubé slips through. Dubé. His pass to the middle. Blocked. Hanifin. Peltier. Pass instead of a shot. Dubé gets to it. Backlund. Up top. A pass off of Pomper's stick eventually to Dubé. Dubé pass down low. And it was launching high. He was trying to slide the puck to Pelche. He couldn't connect. Late stages of this power play. Hamilton. Pass didn't really work, and now Colorado with it. Protected by Canada. He's got some room. Dishes. A shot. It was Lewis. Didn't get through it. Hamilton keeps it. It's Rieger who picked it in. Nieto tried to take the puck away. And now Dewar. Back to Rieger. Shot. And it was Lucci parked in front. James couldn't capitalize. Both teams back to even strength as Rieger skates in with it. Backhand all the way over to O'Connor now, who, along with Taves, gets the puck out. Dennis Gilbert trying to make his way back into the zone. He was stopped from doing so. The Flames had to be careful there as nobody was really back. Pelche realized what was going on. Here's Godley. Winds up, shoots, and Georgiev up to the task. Noah Hannafin absolutely launching the puck on the power play. But to no avail, the Flames still looking to get on the score sheet.
You deserve a vacation. Reward yourself with the Scotiabank Passport Visa Infinite Card and Scene Plus.
Is another dinner dilemma creeping up on you? Stress not, Dinner Decider. It's the perfect time for Pizza Hut's delicious 5x5. When you buy pizza, you can get up to 3 medium pizzas for only $5 each, turning mealtime into deal time. Now that's delivering. Offer may vary by location.
It followed me here, and it's gonna keep coming for us. We need to fight back.
Come on, Mother!
Screening only in theaters March 10th.
You bring the work. You bring the heart. And when you need it most, we bring the hope. With our Winter Relief Fund, Hydro One is here to help. With financial assistance, payment flexibility, and more choice. So you can focus on what truly matters. Connect with us to access winter relief. hydro1.com/winter.
Flames general manager Brad Treliving obviously frustrated with the score of this one in the game, 3-0 for the Colorado Avalanche. You know, getting shots has not been a problem recently, and certainly not in Denver for the Flames. In the last 5 periods, there's 64 of them. They've had 18 tonight. The problem so far for the Flames, and in general recently, is no finish. Underline. They're out shooting the Avalanche 12-4 in this period so far, Scott.
Well, that's a good response, even though they got a power play goal scored against them. And shots on goal have not been a problem, but often shots on goal can be misleading. It's chances to score, which I have a much better look at than just shots. And where are the shots coming from? And are they getting second and third opportunities off the shots? So that could be a very misleading stat at times.
Been quite the storyline this season for the Flames. Quantity versus shot quality. As Nathan McKinnon has the puck over to Nichushkin. Tanner tried to take it away. Nichushkin back to the point. Madsen shot wide and then rebound off the side of the net as McKinnon almost put one home. McKinnon drops it off. Samuel Girard takes it. Shot. Markstrom the save. Rebound. And another spectacular stop from Markstrom trying to keep his team in it. Icing call here as the faceoff will come back into the Flames territory.
Well, if you're wondering about Markstrom, and he's been criticized a lot this season, but, you know, what a battler here. And then there's 3 unbelievable saves that he makes. And he didn't win Didn't have the year he had last year. It wasn't a fluke. I mean, this guy's a hell of a goalie. He's had a tough go at times this season. Those one goals every once in a while that he'd like to have back. But in tonight's game, you can't really put this one on him.
And he's an easy guy to root for, too, the way he's so hard on himself. As you can tell, he wants to win so badly. Here's Taves with a shot from long range, and Marshman got a piece.
One thing for sure, he's a terrific person and a real pro. I mean, he works, he comes to work every day, and the players will tell you that.
Now, the Avalanche again. Going to apply some pressure. The puck comes free for Godwin. And he tried to go long range for Jonathan Huberdeau. Cut off by Byron. Stuck now right in front of the Avalanche bench. Godwin and Rantanen are trying to play soccer, it seems. Does move now, it bounces over the boards into the Flames bench.
Want to bet? Get in on the action and make a play at Sports Interaction.
I talked to Kadri before the game about coming back to Colorado. I said to him, hey, well, you got some practice. You came from an emotional situation, maybe not quite as much in Toronto, but the one thing he said to me, he said, all I really want to do tonight is win. Well, it's not going so well for him so far. A win would be fantastic.
Colorado exiting their own end. Pagliano trying to slice through, but Gilbert was there. Defensively, Logan O'Connor. Chipping the puck out is Pagliano. And now Zadorov with it.
I can tell you for athletes, these games are never easy coming back, playing against your friends, particularly, I would imagine, when you win a Stanley Cup with them. So you want to get that first one, just get it over with. Then you hope for a win. Obviously, they can do every game. But they're tough. They're not easy.
Along with Wayne Rattata having his most successful season. At this point in the season last year, he had 74 points through 59 games.
Fans were asking for a caller. I didn't mind that. Up to me, it was a good one-on-one by Gilbert. And as I mentioned earlier, he's been a pretty nice surprise, I would think, for the Flames organization, the way he's played. Stay at home. He's tough. He's not afraid to scrap. And he plays within his limitations, which is what you want for stay